Welcome back to Amazing with Jake. Hey everybody, I'm Jake Brown at Jake Brown Radio. Please, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube, youtube.com/at Jake Brown Radio. Follow me on social media at Jake Brown Radio. Wherever you're on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it. Give me a follow. On this YouTube venture, the New York Mets season, the baseball season is about to begin. I noticed the first video, I wasn't really looking in the camera that much. It's very weird to constantly look into a green dot. It feels like I'm at the eye doctor and I got to read the letters on the board. You got the eyes covered. You cover one, you cover the other. But I'm going to give it my best shot to look at you. You see the Band-Aid. I did slice my finger on Monday cleaning a knife. Not even using it, cleaning it with a paper towel. Should have used a regular towel. Lesson learned. Finger sliced, but all's okay. I'm alive. But if I do faint, it's because I bleeded out. I bloodied out, bloody murder. But I'm good for now. And if you know me, you know I like funky fits. I like things that most people probably wouldn't wear, but I feel comfortable wearing. And for my Mets season preview video today, I wanted to break out something I was excited to get, but of course the sizing is off. By the way, I put the Mets hockey jersey giveaway behind me this episode. If you remember the Dixie cups from the 90s, the cups you would use to, spit mouthwash in or you'd wash something out, this is it. Remember the cups? You go to the deli and you get your little paper cup and fill whatever in it. You get an Arnold Palmer, whatever it may be. This is it. I had to get it. Now, of course, it was on like Alibaba. I looked at the conversion. It was an Asian or a China size 4XL converts to XL. Well, this is 4XL, and it is almost a 4XL. It is not an American XL. It is too big. So, lesson learned, if I get the black version of it, I'll get either a 3, because there was a black colored one I'm going to get next, but I'll either get a 2 or 3XL and try that out. But not only did my crazy ass get the shirt, but you ready for this? The pants. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. The pants. The shirt, the pants, complete. Where will I wear this? I don't know. I feel like it's a good beach wear. Might wear this to the beach, but again, too big of a size. Anyways, we're a couple minutes in, and I've already gone off the deep end. I'm trying to take you back to the days of Amazing But True. And I'll get Nelson Figueroa on here. I'll get guests on here. But for now, it's me solo as the Mets season's about to begin. And this is what we're here for. New York Mets 2024 season preview. Let's go. All right, let's do this thing. Mets season preview. The season starts Thursday, but really it starts Friday. Thursday's probably getting rained out. The game will be Friday. Can't wait to be there with my dad. 21st straight. Started in 2003. COVID year 2020. We were there in cardboard cutout form, but no fans. So we have not missed a Mets home opener, and we'll continue the streak this week for Mets Brewers that now, like I said in my first video, has a lot more hype with the Mets getting JD Martinez. Let's start with manager here. The Mets have a rookie manager in Carlos Mendoza, and a lot of people don't talk about coaches and managers, and he's an unknown. But I think an important part of this team will be his right-hand man, and that's his bench coach, John Gibbons. I know it's not a name that any preview show, nobody's really talking about, but John Gibbons has managed for over a decade in the league. He's been to 2 ALCSs with the Blue Jays, and now he's going to be his right-hand man. He's got Jeremy Hefner as pitching coach, but, a rookie manager needs that bench coach that has experience, that late games, in-game scenarios. He'll say, hey, Mr. Gibbons, what do you think we should do here? And I think it's important that Mendoza relies on Gibbons. So we'll see what Carlos Mendoza is. He knows how to coach in New York. He comes from the Yankees. And he's got a right-hand man that's done it before. So that's the Mets coaching staff. We got that out of the way. Let's start with the Mets' biggest question mark on this team. And that's the starting pitching staff going in. This is a rotation that has a lot of questions that need to be answered. And it starts up top, and that's Kodai Senga, because we don't know when he is back. When he does return, we know what he is. He's sensational. His rookie year was absolutely remarkable. It was Sangaday. It was must-see TV. It was must-watch. It was must-go-to at Citi Field because you didn't know how many strikeouts he was getting. Was he getting a dozen that day? Was he getting 10? Could he reach 14? Senga was remarkable to watch. 12-7, 2.98 ERA, 166 innings. Those innings are going to go down because we might not see him till late May or whenever it may be. After that is when the question marks begin. But his return date is going to be critical. If he misses half the season, which I don't think will happen, the Mets are in deep doo-doo. He needs to be back sometime in May for this team because they don't have a ton of reinforcements here. So let's go through the unknowns. Luis Severino. Luis Severino is coming off a year where he was arguably the worst pitcher in baseball. He was absolutely atrocious. 6.65 ERA, 18 starts. He stunk. That's the negative. Here's the positive. Severino is pitching in a, prove-it deal, 1-year deal. A lot of players, when they're in a prove-it deal, 1-year deal, with a chance to get paid the next offseason, they ball out. And I think Severino went into the offseason motivated, invigorated, ready to turn it around and go from the Bronx to Queens, a guy who knows the pressure, knows the media, like a Mendoza, but he was a bench coach. This was a guy who was an ace of the Yankees, has had success in the major leagues. And he's also had injuries. So we know he's going to miss some time. Luis Severino is going to miss some time this season. But when Luis Severino is at his best form and he is out there, this is a guy in 2022, 7-3, 3.18 ERA, 19 starts. Again, missed time. You'll take 23 to 25 starts if you can get it from Luis Severino at those numbers as your number 3, maybe in the rotation. Luis Severino, 2.98, 2017. This is way back. 2018, 3.39. That's when he was 31, 32 starts. And then, the injuries, the COVID year, that's when it got the best of him. 2019, 3 starts. 2020, he didn't pitch. 2021, he pitched 6 innings. So if Luis Severino could give the Mets 25 starts at a 3.4, 3.7 ERA, the Mets will gladly take it. And I think he's going to go out and ball and try to get that contract. Sean Manaea, the other lefty in the rotation with Jose Quintana. He's a question mark, but he's a guy who's proven he can be a strong number 3-4, a number 4 in your rotation. He's got good off-speed stuff. He cut the hair. Since he's cut the hair in spring, he's been solid. He's a career 4.1 ERA pitcher. That is a number 4 in the rotation that you'll gladly have as your number 4 and slot him in there. And he's coming from the West Coast. His first time on the East Coast, we don't know what kind of pitcher he would be. He went from Oakland to San Diego to San Francisco. This guy hasn't left the state of California in terms of teams he's played for. So I'm very curious to see how he'll do in the National League. He's pitching the NL, but on the East Coast. How the time difference, the weather, how that can all change. I don't think that's something that could get overlooked in this situation. But Sean Manaea, no hair, whatever hairstyle he goes with, it seems like not as much hair now, could be an interesting number 4 in this rotation. But he's a guy who's, shown he's got some durability. 2021, 32 starts. 2022, 28 starts. Last year only had 10 because he mostly pitched out of the bullpen in 37 games. But he went back-to-back years where he barely missed any time. In 2021, he had a sub-4 ERA and won 11 games. The Mets will take a double-digit winner in Sean Manaea. Jose Quintana's your other lefty. He's going to be your opening day starter. He's a walking quality start. Now, Jose Quintana missed the first half of the season, but then he was a 3.57 ERA in the second half. His career, better than his career 3.74. Jose Quintana is a walking innings eater and a quality starter. 6 innings, 3 runs. You will sign up for that every day of the week if you can get it. And he was strong last year on a bad Mets team. Remember, he was pitching on a team that had tanked the last 2 months. They traded everyone away. So Jose Quintana was in a tough spot coming back to a team that was out of it and then traded everyone away. So very interesting to see Jose Quintana healthy, opening day starter. See how he does. I think he's going to be a lot more confident coming in healthy. And this is a really good pitcher that should win double-digit games for the Mets. Adrian Hauser, This is like an unknown. There's a lot of unknowns in this Mets rotation, and I do think this is very much their weakest part of the team. You are the weakest link. Goodbye, Adrian Hauser. This is a pitcher that is a bit of an unknown, but a very much known to David Stearns coming from Milwaukee. Again, a 4 ERA throughout his career. We're talking about a lot of 3 through 5s in the Mets rotation. Outside of Senga, they don't have a true 1-2. A lot of 3 to 5s. But you can win 3 to 5s when you talk about the bullpen that they have, and that's what I'll do next. But Adrian Hauser is a bit of an unknown, but he's 8-5 last year, 21 starts. In 2021, this guy was 10-6 with a 3.22 ERA. He has fallen very much under the radar, but has done a strong job in Milwaukee. He's been there his whole career, and now he comes to New York. So, an unknown, but a quality pitcher. And another guy like a Jose Quintana. If you get 6 innings, 3 runs at him, set him up for your bullpen, you're in good hands. And then the other guy is Tyler McGill. McGill's going to start for now until Senga's back. We'll see what happens with if everyone else stays healthy, if Severino misses time. But Tyler McGill is a very intriguing pitcher. Because when you got that April run from him when he replaced DeGrom, he was unbelievable. He was a rocky road last year. He was not very good for a lot of the year. But here's the good thing. He developed confidence at the end of the season. And he had 25 starts, first off, which was the most he's had in his career in a season. But his last 8 starts, from mid-August to the end of the season, he gave up 3 runs or less. He was tremendous for the last 6 weeks of the season. That's what you want to see ending a season, go into the offseason, is confidence in a pitcher. And Tyler McGill gave the Mets brass confidence that they can roll with him, at least for now, in this rotation. And when Tyler McGill is at his best, he's great. McGill, his problem is later in the game, third time through the lineup. If he can give the Mets 5 innings, 2 runs, you take that and you go to the bank with it. The depth in the rotation after that, it's okay. It's not incredible. It's David Peterson. It's Joey Lucchesi. We'll probably see Christian Scott at some point. You might see Mike Vasil down the road. You might see Blake Tidwell down the road. But they don't have a lot of depth when it comes to starters, so it's key for them to stay healthy. The Mets bullpen. I think this is one of the stronger parts of the team, especially on the back end. Yes, there's some question marks, bridge guys that I'll get to in a second, but at the back end, Edwin Diaz, the trumpets, the LED lights at Citi Field. It's going to be a spectacle beyond just the trumpets. These new lights are the real deal. It's going to be a show when the Mets have a lead going into the 9th, or when Edwin Diaz, at some point, probably not early in the year, might have to come in for 4 outs, 5 outs, maybe later in the season, 6 out. But Edwin Diaz is the electric factory. He's the best closer in baseball, and he's back for the New York Mets. So love that. Keep him on the field. Adam Ottavino. Despite giving us headaches, Adam Ottavino still was a 3.21 ERA last year. You know what he is. He's a strong setup man. It's when he comes in and guys are on base where he struggles. If he loses command and guys are on base, they're stealing on him. That's something he's got to improve on. I don't know if he will, so maybe just don't have guys on base. Don't bring him in with guys on base. The guys you want to bring in, if there's guys on base, are Brooks Raley and Jake Diekman. Jake Diekman comes in from the Rays from a 2.18 ERA after he went there in 45 innings. He was fantastic. Brooks Raley was 2.8 ERA. He was arguably he was the Mets' best reliever last year. Not arguably, he was. Brooks Raley was a godsend. His off-speed stuff is just filthy. The backdoor slider is filthy. And those two lefties, Diekman and Raley, it's not really the lefty-lefty sport like it used to be, because the one-batter rule, there is no one-batter rule. You have to face more than one batter. It's a 3-batter rule unless you're ending the inning. So, Raley and Diekman could really be weapons out of this Mets bullpen. And you're not going to have Ottavino Diaz. Ottavino Diaz. You're not going to do it every night. Can't wear these guys down like you did Jeff Brigham last year. And, we don't want to see those likes of Jeff Brigham and, the guys we saw last year come from the minors. The Grant Hartwigs of the world. This sounds like the 17th president of the United States. So, Diaz, Ottavino, Raley, Diekman. Get excited, because that's a big 4. Drew Smith, X factor this bullpen. Drew Smith has regressed every year. In 2021, 2.4 ERA, 2022 3.33 ERA, 2023 4.15 ERA. So the banning of the sticky stuff has clearly hurt Drew Smith. He's been a victim of the long ball. Drew Smith has got to get back to his old ways. Got to use his off-speed stuff effectively. Got to stop giving up home runs and be the strikeout pitcher that we saw a couple of years ago that you were excited about for his future. So if Drew Smith could be good, we're talking about Diaz, Ottavino, Raley, Diekman, Smith. And that's not talking about some of the other guys who are kind of wild cards. Jorge Lopez is a wild card. This is a guy that's been Jekyll and Hyde. He has been the rockin' roller coaster, but not always rocking, at Disney World. All-Star in 2022, 1.68 ERA with the Orioles, but was god-awful last year and has had multiple years with 5+ ERAs throughout his career. He's looked good in spring so far. Now, I don't look at spring stats. I think they're irrelevant, but it's a good sign that he's looked solid enough that you can trust him to be a bridge guy in this bullpen who has had some success in the big leagues. The other spots, you'll see Michael Tonkin probably, 4.28 ERA last year with the Braves. Hadn't pitched prior to that till 2017 in the big leagues. And then one of Sean Reed Foley and Johan Ramirez will finish out the bullpen. But I really like this bullpen. I think it is a sneaky elite bullpen. That might be a little bit generous, but I think this is a very, very good Mets bullpen. And that's why you can stomach a mediocre to below average rotation. Because if a guy could give you 5, get into the 6, there's a lot of guys you can trust here. If you get a Diekman finishing out, the 6th into the 7th with Raley, Ottavino, Diaz, again, you're not going to overuse the guys. That's when Jorge Lopez and Drew Smith are going to come in. Those bridge guys are going to be critical. If Tyler McGill can't get into the 6th or a guy can't get through the 5th is in trouble, those bridge guys are going to be essential. But I do like this Mets bullpen. And then you got Nate Lavender, if you need him in the minors. Had a strong spring. He'll probably come up at some point. Now, I said I like the bullpen. The most optimistic now with the addition of JD Martinez I'm about is the Mets lineup. This is a lineup that has power, speed, versatility, and has some depth. And when I talk about the depth, you talk about the bench players that they have, but you also talk about the prospects that we can see at some point this season that can provide a spark for this Mets team. Let's talk about what they currently have here going into opening day. Now, we know JD Martinez. It'll be about a week or so till he's back. We'll assume he's here. Let's not worry about the first 5 or 6 games. Let's worry about the whole season, and that's with JD Martinez. Up top, it's Brandon Nimmo. I would love to see Nimmo steal bases. I know it's just something he hasn't really done throughout his career, but this lineup becomes even more dynamic if Brandon Nimmo could steal 15, 20 bases. That really is a table setter if he can do it. Now, again, he probably won't. It's something he doesn't enjoy doing, clearly. Only had 3 last year, but would like to see that. Also would like him to be a little bit better getting on base. Sometimes he takes too many pitches. I'd like to see some bunt singles from Brandon Nimmo. If you listen to Amazing But True, if you heard my content, my shows before, the bunt is arguably my favorite play in baseball. I would like to see Brandon Nimmo bunt a little. He's actually not a bad bunter. I'd like to see him lay down a couple leadoff bunts for singles this year. And then hopefully steal, but probably not. Career low OBP besides his rookie year where he didn't play a full year, 363. He needs to get that closer to his career 380 OBP at the top of the order. But we saw a lot of power out of Brandon Nimmo. 24 homers last year. He's a guy, a table setter. Get on base, get that up to 380. You don't even need 24 homers from it. If you get 18 homers, 10 steals, 380 OBP, you're loving that from Brandon Nimmo. Francisco Lindor. I don't think fans always appreciate him enough because they're like, oh, he's overpaid. He's not overpaid. Francisco Lindor was 30-30 last year and at points struggled and played banged up. If he can turn that 254 average closer to his career average of 274, he's going to give you probably another 30-30 year. He drove in 98 last year. I expect similar numbers. He's going to give you great defense, and he's going to play every day. He's going to play at least 160, fingers crossed, knock on wood. You're loving what you're getting out of the 2 spot from Francisco Lindor. Pete Alonso, number 3. Walk year, contract year, 46 46 and 118 in 154 games last year. Really should have missed more time. Came back early from the hand injury. Maybe that contributed to his low average. That average has to get up. I'm sorry. I know he's going to hit the homers. I know he's going to drive and runs. Pete Alonso cannot hit 217. I know everyone wants to say average, overrated, who cares? He has got to be better than that. If Pete Alonso could get closer to his 250 career average and still hit 45 and 115, you're thrilled. And again, contract year, like I said with Severino, prove it year. Contract year, prove it year. Similar kind of storyline. Go out and ball. And that's what you expect out of Pete Alonso. Now, the trade talk, if the Mets are out of it late July, maybe gets traded. I think they'll be in it. I think they'll be in the race. My prediction, I'll finish with that later on. Cleanup hitter, JD Martinez. I mean, I talked about this last week. I'm not going to dive again into this. 33 and 103 last year, 271. An absolute bopper, a machine, a professional hitter, professional designated hitter. He'll play a couple games if you need him in the outfield. You love it. For now, it's going to be DJ Stewart, who, was solid last year. 11 homers, 26 RBIs, 58 games in the short time we saw him the last few months. So you're happy with DJ Stewart off the bench and your DH for the first week. Number 5, probably going to be Jeff McNeil. Now, Jeff McNeil's coming off a year. He only hit 270. That is not Jeff McNeil. Jeff McNeil is a career 298 hitter and a 361 OBP. He was 270 and 331 last year. I think he is in a prime position for a comeback season. And it's because of the guys surrounding him. He's got Lindor, Alonso, JD in front of him, and likely Starling Marte, Francisco Alvarez behind him. He's got boppers ahead of him. He's got boppers behind him. Jeff McNeil is right in the middle of that sandwich, and I expect a 300 kind of season from Jeff McNeil. I expect him to get back closer to that 300 average and just hit the baseball. Just get hits. You don't need homers from Jeff. Jeff McNeil could not hit a single homer for the Mets this year, and they'll be perfectly fine. They don't need that out of him. Starling Marte, absolutely do. Missed so much time, missed half the season with injuries last year. Starling Marte and the 101-win Mets team was vital in 2022. 16 and 63, 18 steals. I expect that number to go up. He hit 292 with 347 OBP. Give me a 280 Starling Marte. Give me 25 stolen bases and 15 homers and a strong defense in right field. And that Garner, love saying that. Give me that Garner in right field from Starling Marte. Francisco Alvarez, man, I'm excited for him. I think he is such a pivotal factor in this Mets lineup. And if he's your 7-hitter, you're happy. 25 and 63 and 123. He got a little bit gassed. You saw he didn't play as much toward the end of the season. But you expect this guy to go back out there and catch 125 games. You're not going to have him DH. Maybe a handful of games he'll DH. But you want to get him his rest. Omar Narvaez, I'm fine with the backup. I think Narvaez has been terrible, but as a backup, he's serviceable and has had success in his career in the past. He's just come here and he hasn't. But, Alvarez took his spot and then his role changed and everything changed. So I expect 28 from Alvarez. I expect maybe a 30-homer year. If you're getting a 30-homer year out of your 7-hitter, you take that to the bank. Number 8, Brett Beatty. This is where the lineup, you kind of snooze a bit with Beatty 8, Bader 9. Beatty, I feel like, is due for a big year. He knows that if he struggles the first couple of months, the Mets will replace him. They have Mark Vientos waiting. I know a lot of people are mad he didn't make the opening day roster. Mark Vientos did nothing for me to say he must play. That's why the Mets got JD Martinez. Mark Vientos hit 211 and 218 at-bats. I get it. The Mets jerked him around. He should have probably played more. But when he got his chance, he wasn't good enough. He showed some pop. He showed some, bat speed. He just was not good enough. And I know he had a great spring, but spring stats, again, do not mean anything. So Mark Vientos will get his chance if Brett Beatty stinks. But Brett Beatty, another guy, dealt with some injuries last year. This is a big prove-it year for Brett Beatty. 9 homers, 34 RBIs in 108 games. Big year for Beatty. Not a terrible 8-hitter, to be honest. You could have a worse 8-hitter. 9, Bader. Now, Bader's here for defense. But I don't think it should be overlooked. In a speedy Mets lineup, that could have Lindor steal 30. That could have Marte steal 20. You could have a 20-25 stolen base guy coming out of your 9-hole, setting up Brandon Nimmo and the top of this lineup, and that's huge. Harrison Bader stole a career high 20 bases last year in just 98 games. I think Bader can be solid out of the 9 spot if he just gets on and steals bases. And then it's kind of like another leadoff hitter with Bader and then Nimmo. So, and listen, if Bader stinks, I don't expect Bader to play this entire season. I expect him at some point to get replaced by the guys in the pipeline. And that's Jet Williams. That's Drew Gilbert. That's Ryan Clifford. That's Luis Angel Acuna. You have 4 guys who have played outfield to replace him. So Bader, if he's hitting 180 in May, see ya. The Mets will go with one of the young guys and give him a shot. And I think that'll kind of excite the fan base as well. The bench is solid. This is a team that David Stearns addressed the depth, and I don't think that's something that could get overlooked. It takes 40, 50, sometimes 60 players. We know this. If you watch the Mets, you know they get hurt. You know they have injuries every year after year after year. And there's going to be injuries. You just got to deal with it. You can't avoid it. And I think having a Joey Wendell off the bench, this is a guy who's an all-star in 2021. He's been to the playoffs 4 times. He was successful 19 of 23 stolen bases in the last 2 years. Late game pinch runner, a late game defensive replacement, a guy who's played infield, a guy who's played outfield. He can do it all. Bit of an upgrade from Luis Guillorme. Guillorme didn't steal bases, was basically a slap hitter, singles hitter. Not saying Joey Wendell's a much better hitter. A little bit of a better hitter, playoff experience, and can steal bases. I like that. DJ Khaled voice. Zach Short makes the team. Kind of a cool story. Sad story. His grandma passes away. Thoughts and prayers to him and his family for that loss. But then finds out he made the Mets his childhood team. Pretty cool. Probably won't be here that long, but for now, Zach Short, utility guy. Again, some speed, late game defensive replacement. A little bit of pop, hit 7 homers last year. DJ Stewart, a great bench bat to have to start. He'll start again until JD Martinez is here. And then Omar Narvaez, a backup catcher. In the pipeline, they even have guys. Like, this is a good situation to have if you have injuries. In the pipeline, again, you have the guys I talked about, the prospects. You also have G-Man Choi. You have Mark Vientos, like I talked about. And you have Jose Iglesias. Guys with playoff experience. Guys with, who've had big at-bats and big spots. And Choi, Iglesias, Wendell. That's what you need on a winning team. So I'm pumped about this lineup. We're talking about a lineup that could have multiple 30-homer hitters. 20-plus, Nimmo, Lindor, Alonso, JD, potentially Marte, potentially Alvarez. You have 6 guys potentially that could hit 20-plus. And 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 that could hit 30-plus. 2 that could hit 35-plus in Alonso and JD. There's a lot of pop in this lineup. We're going to be seeing that apple go up. We're going to be seeing LED light shows. It's going to be a fun year at Citi Field for the New York Mets. Can't wait. Season begins Thursday. My prediction for the season. Now, on the final Amazing But True podcast, I said 77 wins. But I said 77 to 80 in that range. They added JD Martinez. JD Martinez, to me, is a 5 to 8 win type of player that adds to that lineup, because I just think it makes them so much more versatile, so big. And Kodai Senga coming back, maybe additions, on the waiver wire, maybe additions at the trade deadline. I think the New York Mets win 85 games this season. 85 and 77. Unfortunately, I think the National League is just too good, and they will fall just short of the wild card. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I hope this Mets team is a miracle season, and I'm not ruling it out. Listen, you win 85, that might get you in. They win a few others, they get to 87. 87 might get you in. But I think that's going to be the mark, 87 to get in. And unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the Mets. I think the Braves win the division. I think the Phillies get a wild card. I think the Giants get a wild card. And the Diamondbacks get a wild card. So those are my 3 wild card predictions, with the Cubs out of the Central, Dodgers out of the West, and the Dodgers winning the National League and eventually winning the World Series over the Astros. American League, I like the Orioles to win the division, Yankees to be a wild card. I like the Twins to win the Central, Astros to win the West, and then the Mariners and Rangers to also get to the playoffs. So those are my predictions for the 2024 Mets season, Major League season. Can't wait to see you at Citi Field. I'll probably cut back my games this year, maybe to like 40, from like 55 down to 40. We'll see. We'll see how the team is. You know, if they're fun and they're must-see TV, I'll go more often and live close. Can't wait. 85 and 77 will be the Mets. We'll see you at the ballpark. Amazing with Jake. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up below. Comment below. I want to hear your predictions. Let me know, how many wins will the Mets have? Do they make the playoffs? Sound off in the comments below. Thumbs up below. And make sure you subscribe to me on YouTube, youtube.com/@JakeBrownRadio. And follow me at Jake Brown Radio on social media. We'll be back next week. We'll be back after the home opener. I'm going to do a little montage with my dad and get clips from the day. So look out for that. That's going to be fun. Home opener, I'll get some fan videos. I'll get my dad, you know, the day in the life of the Jake and his dad home opener, 21 years in a row tradition. We'll post that soon. But until then, thanks for watching Amazing with Jake. And thanks for watching my YouTube channel. Share it. Tell your friends. Send them a link. Appreciate it. Enjoy opening day. Happy opening day, everyone. Let's go, Mets.